Hi, Doug McCann of RealityMe.net here. We've been working through the book Contact Juggling by James Ernest, and today's kind of a review day. I'm going to label the video Step 8. We've really left the steps and we're into the chapters now. So what you need is a ball. A pool ball works, a cue ball works. That's a good weight, a good size. This one's a little larger. The first things you learned when you were doing it was the Middle Eastern dance. We named this the butterfly. That's not the name of the Middle Eastern dance, but basically your elbows are leading, your hands are following. This motion is going to be important to you as you go through. So that was the first step. Then you learned to throw and catch the ball. We talked about the cradle, creating a cradle with your fingers, and we talked about the smooth right there. So after we learned to throw it and catch it on both hands, we then learned to roll the ball up to your middle finger and over onto your hand. So up and over, keeping it in this home area. Then we learned some transfers. So we took the ball and we came under and put one hand there. We went cradle to cradle, and then we made it a little bit more challenging by going cradle to smooth to cradle. And that pinky finger on my left hand drives me nuts. This should be down. You really don't want to block the ball from the audience. And the cradle is just these three fingers, really. That's where I have to do some practice. And so from cradle to smooth to cradle. And I'm not good at this because I've spent a couple of decades just doing this. And it never occurred to me to put it on the smooth and come back. And what you're accomplishing by putting it on the smooth, coming back, is you've got when you're done, you've got a longer motion going on while the ball appears to stay right there. So the idea is that your hand's moving, but the ball's not. Eventually, that's kind of what it's going to look like. So you go cradle to smooth, lands in the cradle. Smooth, cradle to smooth, lands in the cradle. Cradle to smooth, lands in the cradle. Cradle to smooth. And remember, you want to keep that ball there. Now, step it up. I skipped a step. We'll come back to that one. So the cradle to smooth. Next, your goal is going to be to go cradle smooth, drop it to smooth, cradle. Cradle smooth, drop it to, and that's going to really, and that's where I need a lot of work. So cradle smooth, smooth, cradle, and smooth. Yeah. That's the one I'm practicing right now. The other one we forgot that I skipped was the palm-to-palm transfer. So we've talked about the butterfly, and for years I just looked at the picture in the book and I was like, oh, I get this. This is the butterfly. I didn't even read the paragraph that said that was just a Middle Eastern dance move. So I always thought had to come up, had to come down, hit your palm, and go up like that. But what you're really doing is you're going up. When it comes down, you're letting your hand come out that way so that you transfer it to the palm, and then you come up. Now, you don't want it to go over sideways. You still want it to go up over that middle finger and down. Up over the middle finger, palm transfer, and down. I'm gonna go get that. So in that, you've learned the butterfly. You've learned the palm transfer, and you've learned the back-to-back transfer. Those are your basic moves in contact juggling. So the next thing we're going to learn is some terms. And the term for going the cradle to the back and doing that is called the staircase. I never knew that. Then let's see. Let's talk about combination theory. So with combination theory, you have learned that, let's use juggling as a trick, as an example. If you throw a club under your leg and catch it once, that's a trick. Doing this while juggling 3 clubs is another trick. Like in music, a quarter note sounds different than a whole note. But a series of these is, let's think about this, what do we call it? I just used the word in the definition. So I was going to say, if you keep doing it over and over, that's called a series. So you've got a trick, you've got a series, And then you've got a combination where you string together tricks and series. So in the book, he actually uses some examples of combinations. So you can do the butterfly in one hand over and over. That's actually considered, is that considered? See, I would have called it, that's a trick. And so that's a trick. If you repeat the palm-to-palm transfers, they're calling that a trick. If you repeat the back-to-back transfers, I'm just going to do it this way, they're calling that a trick. The circle we haven't learned yet. But when you string these together, then you're doing combinations. So if you go over here, then you do a palm, and then you're doing the butterfly, and you do a palm, and then you do some back-to-back stuff. That's a combination. So we just mentioned the circle. Oh wait, we're already 6 minutes into the video. We'll do the circle tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. This wasn't a great, interesting video, but I appreciate you tuning in. We'll try to do the circle tomorrow. It's a complicated is not the right word. It's an interesting pattern. So see you then. I'm gonna get some coffee. You've been listening to Doug. But today, what all we talked about. In the beginning, we were learning, let me see if I, hang on.